the Cards and Comic Show. Hey, welcome back to Cards and Comics. Today I have show number 2, and I have an even bigger show for everyone today with a bigger agenda, which I did today. So there you see my agenda. I'm going to have an intro, which I'm doing right now. You heard my fabulously produced intro theme song. I'm going to go into Breaking Hobby News, fan mail, my collection spotlight, which is awesome today. Very excited about it. A new segment I'm calling the top 5 comic book covers for the week, my top 5 picks. And then I'll go into my mail day for the week. All right, guys. So let's go into our breaking news. All right, breaking news. So first off, I'll lead off with Topps inking a huge deal, and I'm air quoting huge deal, with the Japanese NPB League. And obviously, and in the article here, it talks about how Topps is going to lose its exclusive Major League Baseball contract, so it's going to have to replace it with something else, and they've obviously selected Japanese baseball. And this looks like, kind of a desperate attempt to stay relevant. Now, I do think that, there is going to be a market for these cards, and since a lot of players come from, the Japanese market to, from the Japanese league to the American League, I don't mean a lot, but there have been very impactful players, right? And this could be a very good opportunity to speculate in that market. And I think this is a smart move from Topps. However, it won't replace losing Major League Baseball. So, so that's definitely not what I think is going to happen. It is a interesting move, and it definitely shows Topps not out of the game. They're not planning on just taking their ball and going home. They're going to keep finding ways to make content and sell cards to people, which is good because I still like the brand. Moving on is to the next point, is the epidemic of card break-ins.
Sports card manager Kelly Wells says $160,000 worth of sports cards and Pokemon cards were stolen, Wells believes, within a matter of minutes.
Unopened new product. They took everything out of our case. They took our vintage baseball singles, the guys like Mantle, Maris, that era of guys, where we make most of our money. And then they took all of our Pokemon singles.
Glalie? Did I say it right? You don't know?
Vintage card shops all over the country are being targeted as the value of the trading cards skyrocketed during the pandemic.
That's $250. We were at one point making 14 times a month what we were making in 2019.
There are tons and tons of people that, have collections at home, and, I'll give you some of my, experiences. I've had people, at shows want to know where I live. In fact, I've had a few folks be very insistent to know, like, where do you live, what town do you live in, where are you from, and I never answer those questions because I just don't know who I'm dealing with, right? I don't want people to know I'm from a certain area because you just never know who may want to try to show up your door because, if you're a collector, sometimes people in your neighborhood know who you are. You may be the crazy guy who's always, getting all these packages, and you just don't want people to kind of pinpoint your location because, you never know who's going to be knocking at your door. And I do feel like with collections to a certain size, you can, insurance makes a huge sense for a lot of folks who have invested a lot of money, especially with the way things have gone up, right? I do think, it's something you should call and really talk to your own insurance company. These third parties like collectible insurance services, which I don't endorse, I'm just showing you a third party that I've heard of and I've seen at shows before. If you look at, they do have some history of doing this, and they have an FAQ here talking about, things that they will insure, when they don't insure. Why doesn't your home policy cover it? So there's some good information here if you really care about knowing more about insurance-free collections, but I think it's something that everyone should be looking at. The other thing people are doing, is using things like vault services. And for some collectors, that makes sense, especially if you know you're never going to move pieces, or if they're an investment for a period of time, so you know exactly when you're going to move product. I think for a lot of people, me personally, I don't know when I'm going to move something or when I have an opportunity to buy, so I need to sell. And I think a vault situation may not be great, especially if you're into trading. You can't really trade what's in your vault. I guess you could. Maybe there's a way to do that. I don't know of, but physically not having your product when you want to go to a show or trade with someone would be, to me, a deterrent to do that. So, but I do think the vault services have definitely, especially the ones that go into like with PWCC where you can sell from the vault. That definitely has more usability in that terms, but in terms of trading or using your cards as assets for other purchases that are physical, it's hard. Moving on, so the Hofstra show is going on this weekend. A lot of great autographs, so hopefully everyone's having fun. Next up is, hey, look, this is non-sports cards, but Marvel X-Men Metal Universe Skybox cards are now on ePack, and you can see that they're $249 a box. So if you're really into the Metal Universe cards, especially the X-Men, which had a lot of people really excited about it. In fact, they're now doing a Spider-Man version of this product that a lot of people are excited about. I think boxes are pre-selling for $300 or something, or even more. And you can see that they came out at $249. I looked on eBay, and they're $289, $290 right now still. So they're $50 cheaper on ePack right now. I opened a couple packs. First pack, I pulled a Platinum Wolverine. And this is what I call like the ePack luck. You open one pack, you get, like an awesome card, and then you keep going, and you eventually give your money back to him because I didn't pull anything else worth the crap out of the next pack. So it's ePack is like, you hit one big card your first pack, and then you should just quit. But yeah, I never do that. So next up, moving on to comic book news. DC had their, what do they call it? Their Fandom, and they announced some things at Fandom, and this is one I thought was really interesting. Was Monkey Prince is getting his own book. So this came out in a pretty, I don't want to say obscure, but a comic book I wasn't that aware of, which is this DC Festival of Heroes Asian Superhero Celebration #1, which had a lot of variant covers, and one of them had this character Prince or Monkey Prince in it. Obviously, people love monkey characters. I mean, I'm looking at you, Detective Chimp. People like the anamorphic characters, and so he got a lot of good pub when this came out. And then if you look on eBay, you can see the variation that had the 1 in 25 chain cover, which has Monkey Prince on the cover, as bringing $40 to $60 on a few sales, and the last one sold on today, so for $32 buy now. A lot of these are buy nows. Very few of these kind of books sell on auction anymore. Next up is something that is not surprising, which is Static Shock has been confirmed to have a movie at Fandom, and so through HBO Max. So this is something that I think anyone who has paid attention to DC and what they're doing with that universe, Static Shock, and that whole range of characters that they brought back. I'm very excited, because Static Shock was something I grew up with. Michael B. Jordan's involved, so I think that's all great. And obviously, if you look at the comic book side of it, that buy it nows are flying off the market now. You can see, the first appearance issue, and then the collector's edition, which came in a wrap. I think I had a card in it. I mean, $90 for an 8.0 seems pretty high, and just sold today. So obviously, people are reacting to this pretty heavily. So I have some of these books myself, so obviously I might look through and see how many I've got, and I might sell a few while the iron's hot, and something to look at, because it takes a while to get these movies made, and by then, who knows what the market's like. So this is kind of a good time to sell if you've been anticipating Static Shock news and a movie coming out. All right, now we'll move on to letters and fan mail, which I'm very excited to get to. Moving on to fan mail, and let's see if I can find the fan mail. Yeah, I'm not sure if I have any fan mail yet. Yeah, I don't think I do. So, no fan mail yet. So we'll keep it on the agenda, and one of these days I'll have an email or something to respond to. But until then, it's staying on the agenda because I think I'll get it one day. So maybe by show 3 we'll have some fan mail to react to. All right. Moving on to the collection spotlight. And so today I've got something really, really cool, which is the 1997 EX 2000 Holler Nothing insert set. So what you can see here is I have 2 cards, and they're different. One is gold and one is copper. Now, when I first collected this set, I thought they were all this color, but it turns out there's 2 versions. So yeah, and there's a reason for it. So yeah, so I did some research, and here's what I found. So as you can see, these Holler Nothing cards, the gold versus the coppers, are very much different. They're not like a shade or a slight variation. I know sometimes you'll see like people call things errors or variations when there's no real difference. Maybe like the printing was a little off, or maybe the card oxidized a little bit so the color is different. I think in like Topps Chrome, you'll see sometimes people call the green cards variations. But no, these are really different cards. And if you look at Baseball Cardpedia, you'll see where they say there is 2 colored foil versions that do exist. And they don't know if they were just a parallel or a printer error where they use gold instead of copper foil as a mistake. But in general, the conclusion is a copper foil is the common or intended finish, and the gold foil was a variant. And you can see on here, you can see the copper foil Griffey, and then you see the gold foil Greg Maddux, and they're very different. Now, if you check out eBay, and the reason why I wanted to bring this card up to you, because A, it's kind of a cool thing to have kind of this hidden variant that not a lot of folks know about. In fact, I didn't really know about it until I saw one for sale. But if you look at eBay, you'll see like only one sold recently, the Griffey. And if you look through here, you'll see, like a lot of the golds, have sold, or sorry, coppers have sold. But you click down here, you'll see that someone actually sold. And now a lot of people think this is a gold, but it's not. It's just the lighting, but that is not gold, because when you see the gold ones, and you'll see one, and people think the Bonds is gold, that's not a gold. That's still a copper with just different lighting. You'll see actually someone did sell this card right here for $70, and it was actually a gold card. And Yeah, so you can really see there's a big difference between the gold cards and the regular coppers. And so this is just like an FYI. It's a really cool variant to keep an eye out for. Not a lot of people know about it, and they're a lot rarer than the coppers. You can see a lot of coppers have sold versus the golds. And sometimes you can do like this person did, get a good deal on a card. And obviously there's not a lot in the pop report either. Pick up some of these cards, find them in the wild. You might be able to get a good deal on them and make some money. And so this is a very interesting card. All right, welcome back, and we'll move on to my top 5 comic book cover selections or picks of the week. And now, this isn't going to be a value or an investment type top 5. This is the top 5 books that I actually am going to go buy or I have purchased because I like the covers. Now, I do think, I speculate on these covers sometimes as well. So this is really what appeals to me from a collector and as an investor. So it's both. So some of these are on here because I just like the cover, and some of them because I think they might go up in value. So don't view it as just either a list of value or a list of the coolest covers. It's sort of a both, and that's how I collect everything. So first up is number 5, Star Wars War of the Bounty Hunters. Number 5, the McNiven 1 and 50 variant. It's bringing about $60 on eBay. It's pretty tough to find in the wild. It's a great photo of Boba Fett, leaning against Han Solo in the carbonite. It's a cool photo because I don't think this photo has ever been really done. This kind of pose in the Star Wars universe, and I'm not a big Star Wars collector, so it takes a lot for a Star Wars book to get on the list for me. But this one was just really cool, and the 1 in 50, and then it's kind of being a big chase book right now. So there you go. Next up, number 4, Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads, number 4, the Peach Momoko variant. And so this one is a 1 in 25, and it's bringing about $40 right now. I like it because it's a little bit of a different composition and it's a little abstract. Sometimes Peach's work is a little too cutesy, and this one isn't. And I just like the colors and the use of, the black and red together. So to me, it appeals to me. Obviously, a 1 in 25 Peach Momoko cover is always going to be desirable. There's a lot of them out there now, and she gets a lot of cover work, so they're not as special as they used to be. But this is a cool one, and Spider-Man, so obviously, as a Spider-Man collector, it appeals to me. Number 3, another amazing Spider-Man book, even though that last one was just Spider-Man Symbiote Spider-Man Crossroads, so it's not Amazing Spider-Man. But this is Amazing Spider-Man 76, the Joe Jusko Marvel Masterpieces cover. Now this one is just because I really like the cover art. He's been really hit and miss with me on the covers he's done so far for these Marvel Masterpiece versions or variants. This one really struck home because of just the, how it's structured, how he's centered. The Green Goblin, the colors, the background, it's very symmetrical for me. It's not kind of unpleasing to the eyeball, in terms of just how it's composed. It's not worth a lot of money. It's $5 right now. A little over cover, but not much. So it's one you can find in the wild and pick up. So I would recommend it. It's a great book and it won't break the bank. Next up, number 2 on the list is a really, really fun book. I don't know much about the series. I don't read Army of Darkness, but Army of Darkness, 1979, number 2, the Fleeks and Forstner Stray Dogs mashup cover with Ash holding on to dogs and cats living together. It's a crazy cover. It's a fun cover. I do like the Evil Dead movies. I do like Ash as a character. Bruce Campbell's awesome. So all that's great. And then mix in cute dogs. It's a great mashup cover. It's really starting to pick up some steam. It's like bringing around $15 right now. So there you go. It's going to be popular. It's got a lot of mashup potential of good characters that people like. So So before I go to number one, I'm going to give a an honorable mention book because again, it's another series I don't really read, but I just like this cover. It's Blade Runner 7, Origins number 7, sorry, from Robert Hack, it's a cover artist. And I like the throwback they did because I like Golden Age books, and this is, and a lot of times when they do these homages, it's always in the stinking 90s. It's like everything's a Todd McFarlane, Frank Miller callback versus, why can't we call back to those great, Golden Age covers? And they do sometimes, but it's just not as often as I'd like. And there's a lot of great images there. So this is definitely a throwback to that time period, and it just looks really cool. It's bringing like $5, a little over cover price, but not much. So not another one that won't break your bank. And so moving on to number one, this is my number one cover pick of the week, and it is a cover A. So most of these have been variants. This is a cover A. This is Batman Urban Legends number 8, the Colleen Doran variant. Not variant, gosh. I just said it's not a variant. No, it's cover A. It's the regular cover. It is bringing over comp a little bit. It's Urban Legends like an anthology or like a thicker book, so it's like $8 already. So this is bringing between $8 and $10. Obviously, if you buy it on eBay, you're going to pay for shipping, so you're paying like $12 to $15 for this book. I think it's a book you can find in stores. But it's just a great cover, and it's got a lot of things I love in terms of composition. When I look at these covers, the use of color, Batwoman is just a striking figure. The skulls, just everything that's bringing back, and it's Halloween time. It just fits into the mood right now, and obviously being a cover A doesn't hurt as much as we used to think because, there's a lot of good cover A's that are bringing more money because people just like the cover. And I don't think it hurts as much as it used to. So I do think strong cover A's can still bring and go up in value. So there you go. That's my top 5 comic book cover picks of the week. And now we're going to move on to mail day. All right. So I'm glad to be back for mail day. I've got some really cool books and some really cool comic book or sports cards to share. Now, first up is a Griffey card. So I did my my collection spotlight on a Griffey card, and this is another Griffey card, and again, it's from Skybox. And so, I've been pointedly trying to pick up more of these Skybox cards because I really missed them when I was collecting as a kid or maybe a teenager at this time period. This was not when I was really paying attention to cards, and so a lot of these sets just went right by me, and I never collected them. So these, like this insert set right here, which at first when I saw it, I thought maybe it was etched, like, this part of the card was etched foil. And, then it had kind of the overlay of the foil refractory, and now it's just printing on there. So it kind of looks cooler than it really is. But, it's a 1 in 24, so it's a 1 a box insert, and it's a 9, so I pay a lot for it. But it's one I've never seen before, so I just thought it was really cool to get a Griffey I had never seen before. Now, next up is finally I picked up a Hank Aaron card that I didn't have. Fortunately, it's in a grade that I normally wouldn't have bought, but I think right now beggars can't be choosers, and this was a good deal. It's a Hank Aaron 71 tops, PSA 7, and it's fairly well centered. It's a little off left to right. Maybe you can see a little bit better there. It's a little off left to right. But, it's still a great card. It doesn't have a lot of wear on the edges, and if you look at it, those edges are very clean. And so this is this is a card. You can see it's off top to bottom there, but this is the back, so who cares as long as it's not cut or miscut. But, this is one that, it's harder to get the 8. So this is not a hard 8 to get. So I've never got the 8, and I think it's very interesting for myself is I was always hustling to get the cards that were rare. And so the 71 Aaron was just everywhere. And so I just figured I would get it, whenever I got all the other ones, right? So it'd be like the last one I got because it was cheap and it was easy to get. Well, heck, now it's gone up so much in price, I can't even find an 8. And if I do, it's super expensive. So I went and got the 7. It's a great placeholder for me until I get an 8. And I love, still a great card. Next up on the vintage side is a 76 McCovey 8. And, when I see 70 Hall of Famers for $40 or below, I usually just buy them. If I see them. And I've always loved the 76 set, and this card just is kind of cool, and I like the mustache. So there you go. Next up is, I think it's very interesting right now, and I know a lot of people put videos out about how the football card market's just gone down so much since the season started, and it's obviously because, hype happens in the offseason, that when people actually play, they can't make 50 touchdowns a game or whatever their pricing was built in. And Herbert was one of those ones that had a huge run up and then had already started to drop off before the season starts because his values were so high to begin with. So that he's actually someone you can buy now a lot cheaper than you could in the off season. And he's had a really, really good start to his career. Some of the best numbers in the history of the game. And this is a playoff honor, a Panini Honors card. And these are really, really, really nice cards. I love this set. It's so expensive compared to what it used to be that I've never opened a lot of it. But this is pretty much a color match in, two ways. You see kind of an orangish and that lighter blue. It blends in really good with his uniform. And this is, I don't know if you can see it there. It's numbered to 20. So it's a base rookie parallel numbered to 20. That's a color match. And this was super cheap compared to what, you would have paid a year ago. Obviously, this needs to go to PSA if you want to really maximize the value. And again, for those who have been watching my other videos, when I talk about my SGC to PSA crossovers, or I did a recent video about grading what I look for on the back for SGC cards to send to PSA. I am planning, once regular service comes back with PSA, to submit a modern and vintage PSA crossover, SGC to PSA crossover submission. I'm going to split it up in 2 submissions to keep the 2 separate because modern crossovers and vintage crossovers are 2 completely different animals, and to track both of them together in one sub, and I just keep them separate because there's a lot of things going on with vintage versus modern. And it's easier for me to just keep them separate. And then I'm going to track them, and I'm going to do a report on them, and everyone will see the results of those crossovers, because it's very interesting for me to see how it's changed. I haven't done it since 2019. So it's been a while since I've submitted some SGC cards. I have a huge stack to do it. So I'm excited. And then the last up on the card side is just something I thought was really cool. This is a baby collection for me. It's grown a little bit at a time. These are my wax pack and cello pack unopened collection. And this is a 78 football, not the rarest set by any means. However, you can see that it says there's a Roger Staubach on the back, and you can actually see his name right there. So yes, there is Roger Staubach. So, cool. Hall of Famer on the back. Obviously, he'll get the wax stain, but it's on the front of the card, so you can actually wipe it off. So that shouldn't hurt it. But who cares? I mean, I'm never going to open the pack because it's a Hall of Fame's on the back. And that's been a lot of fun for me because those kind of card or wax packs just don't come up that often, or how they used to. And I just love getting wax packs over cello packs because of the artwork, and they just look cooler. So moving on to the last part of the mail day, the comic books. I'll start here with the modern books, and then I'll work my way down because I do have some cool Golden Age comic books, first ones I've had in a while. So we'll start here with the modern book. So here's book number 1, and a beautiful cover. This is Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow number 4, a rose beige cover. Beautiful use of pastel colors, lighting effects, just a really cool cover. And I think she's got talent, and I can't wait to see more of this work from her. And there might be more out there. This is the first one that caught my attention, and just beautiful work from Rose Besh on this book. Next up is our buddy Joe Jusko doing Namor and his Marvel Masterpiece cover series. This one is just really cool. I like the use of the fish. It kind of gives some depth, the shark in the background. Just really strong cover. And again, not going to break your bank. These are going really just a little bit more than cover price. So you can pick these up pretty cheap. Next up is the winner chicken dinner in the whole mail day, in my opinion, in terms of comic books. This is Demon Days Cursed Web #1. This is the Jenny Frison 1 in 100 version variant of Mystique, and just great use of color. And that's what I like about Jenny Frison covers, is that she uses color very well. And in colors, you don't see that often in comic books. The blending of blues in the corners here, and into the stark whiteness, it's beautiful. It's like, it is something that you don't see in other people's work. I mean, if you think if you take Joe Jusko and then compare it to Jenny Frison, they're just completely different animals. And even to Rose Besh, I mean, you get 3 completely different styles here that I love, all the styles, but this one is just so striking. And very, very big fan of this book. Being a 1 in 100 obviously makes the value go up, but it's still a great book. This is an interesting one for me, this Black Widow. This is Adam Hughes, and this is a summer retailer variant. And it says it's 1 in 3,000. So in the auction, it said there was a COA, and I didn't see one in the package, so I'm wondering if there's one in the actual book itself in the back. That's usually when people stick them. So we'll see. I always hate tape on books when I'm trying to get them out, because they'll stick to the cover, then they'll tear the cover. So yeah, when I get books out of these kind of things, you kind of roll the tape back. Hopefully you don't get any sticking. And we'll see if we can find some sort of COA or something to say it's out of 3,000, because I did not see it in the actual package. So the book doesn't want to come out. So yeah, it's definitely not wanting to cooperate. There we go. If I got it out, I'm gonna cut some of that out because you guys don't want to see me struggle getting a comic book out of the holder. And what do we got on the back? So nothing on the back here. So let's see what it says here. Retailer Summit, limited to 3,000. There you go. And does it actually have a number inside the cover? I don't know. We'll see. I don't really like handling these books anymore because of just everything that can go poorly. Nope, nothing special in terms of numbering. So there's no special number on the back. It does say 1 in 3,000 on the back cover. And this is a color invert of the original book. So this book, the cover A, or the regular cover, is basically the same cover, just the black and the red is inverted. So there you go. That is a really cool book. I'll get it in a new sleeve and holder because this one's got tape all over it. Anyway, so I don't mind that going in the trash. All right, next up. Something I'm sure a lot of you are very familiar with. This is Patrick Gleason, his new version of the Webhead. And I like the web spelling out Amazing Spider-Man on the cover. This is 75, and so this is his new version of the Webhead. And obviously it's pretty cool. I think it's definitely cool that he's continuing a similar let's say a similar kind of book, but reimagining it. So he's not just repeating the same thing over and over. Now, next up is My first Schomburg book in a long time, so it's not graded, which a lot of them have been, but this was actually really nice shape. This is all complete cover. This is Pantha, who's later on when he went to his airbrushing, for Throwing Comics, she was a subject in a lot of his work. Obviously with the tiger here, just great colors and visually striking book. The green and so like color patterns, black and green are my two favorite color combinations for cover artwork back then, and you'll find that true in general, especially black. Anytime there's a black background, or let's say the cover itself is framed in black, those books bring more. It's really crazy in Golden Age, but that's true that people love that striking black cover use of the color. So if you like L.B. Cole, you will definitely not find much blackness in his work. But yeah, it's a great book. I mean, it's not a lot of spine damage, a little spine roll, but you would expect that on a book that's from this is 1946, and it's book number 58 in Throwing Comics. So I don't have this one, so I will probably get it graded. And then last up is a book that is not usually in my wheelhouse in terms of books I pick up. But this is special because it's a Black Cat book. Who's this character right here? I'll try to get it out of the glare. So this character right here, it is a World War II cover. So you can see the planes fighting in the background. You can see the Japanese soldiers there. You can see some craziness going on with this character. So there's just a lot of stuff going on in these books. And this is what you would expect out of the Golden Age. Also, this is sort of like Schomburg, zaniness with just tons of characters. And it's not Schomburg. And it definitely has that feel of Schomburg and his style back in the day. And so you could tell that there was people who were copying his style. So even back in the 40s and 50s, people were copying successful artwork from other people. Now this book is in tremendous shape for the time period. Obviously, you've got this tear here that's going to affect the value, but in general, there is not much wrong with this book other than that. Meaning that in these kind of Golden Age books, you want like 2+, like if you're in the wild, like if you can get a 2.0 to a 4.0, that's normal. Anything above a 4.0, you're bonusing, because those books have either been already graded or they've already been purchased by other people, either to grade or put in permanent collection. So in the wild, on eBay, trolling or whatever, finding books that could grade above a 4.0 is really tough in the Golden Age. And I think both these books have a shot. I think the Throwing Comics is definitely more damaged. It's missing some of the cover on the front. It's got a rip. So it's got more just overt damage than this book. This book is much nicer. So this book, I think, is definitely going to grade higher than a 4. And so that's a rarity. And, I feel like there is, just some great potential with this book. And it's obviously from 1945. So that's a war cover. So there you go. That is the mail day. And this is like episode 2 of my new show where I'm trying to do different segments and things like that. So let me know how you think about it. I'm working very hard on a comparison video of vintage card prices to Card Ladder. I'm really comparing the two services and which one has, the better options for collectors. So be on the lookout for that, and I will talk to you next time.